file, and you will store the data in a file. So file is nothing but a data structure that is used to store the data in your secondary storage device. So you are having some limitation in the file processing system. So what we are doing is, so instead of storing the data in file, they have migrated from file to your database. So we will start our discussion with the limitation. First, we will try to identify the limitation in the file processing system. Then, what is the advantage? Why we are going for the database? What are the various options you have? And nowadays, okay. So again, you can classify the database into relational database and non-relational database, or structured data and unstructured data. Okay. So if you are going to use a relational database, in that case, if your data is structured, you are going to have a data with a predefined structure. In that case, you can go with the relational database. But nowadays, if you take most of the application, it deals with the unstructured data. So your relational data is not suitable for storing the unstructured data. So what we need some mechanism, or we need some mechanism to store unstructured data. So that comes under category called as what? NoSQL database. So if you see your syllabus, first 3 units. Okay. So you unmute your mic and tell me. So once I switch over to presentation mode, I cannot see your messages. Okay. Whether my voice is audible now, whether it is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Whether the presentation is visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, thank you. So once again, welcome to this course. Okay, so the course code is INT 102 Database Management System. So these are the topics to be covered as part of today's presentation. Okay, so I will start with the objective of this course. Quickly, I will cover what are the topics we are going to discuss as part of this 4 units. So what is the prescribed particular course, prerequisite for this course, assignment related to this course, what is the pattern we are going to use for the CAE. And if time permits, I will start with the definition of data. What is the difference? So why we are going for a database? So what is the limitation in your file system? So to overcome the limitation, we are going for a database. Then what is the difference between a database and the relational database management system, database management system and relational database management system? And how will you differentiate a relational database with a non-relational database? And finally, some examples for your relational. So the objective of this course is to, for a given problem statement, what is expected from you people is you should be in a position to design a database for the given problem statement. So you should be in a position to identify the appropriate data model. After finalizing the design, you should be in a position to represent the design in a graphical format or in a flowchart format. So that is called as your ER diagram. So after constructing the ER diagram, you need to physically create the database. So how to physically create the database? For that, you can use query languages like SQL, and you can use various sub languages, data definition language, data manipulation language. Like that, we are going to have various languages. And finally, if I give you a real-time scenario, you should be in a position to create a database for various real-time application or for various real-world applications. So that is the objective of this particular course. So next thing is related to the syllabus. So these are the topics to be covered as part of the first unit. Okay. So as usual, we will start with an introduction. So if you take the first topic, so first topic talks about the advantages of your database management system. So what are the various limitations in your file processing system? Why we are going for a database management system? What are the advantages? Again, simply this course is about a database management system. So you cannot say that always your database management system is suitable for any application. You are having some limitation in database management system also. Okay, so depending upon your application, for certain application, there is no need to use any database. So primarily what I can say is, if you want to share the data among multiple users, then you can create a database. If you are going to have a standalone application, or if you are going to create an application for a single user and that application will be used only by that user, in that case, simply you can store the data in a file. In that case, the performance will be superior when compared to your database. So you are having, so if you want to create a database, you can have different types of architectures. So specifically, we will discuss about the three schema architecture, three-tier architecture. And we will discuss about the logical data independence and the physical data independence. What are the interfaces? So each and every database management system provides a variety of interfaces to the users. And for creating a database, what are the various languages you can use? And if you take a database management system, it contains various components. So what is the role of each and every component? So that is the last topic. Okay, so database system environment. What are the various modules that are available in a database system environment? So second subdivision is related to data modeling. So for a given problem statement, first you need to identify the various entities. So we want to represent the data, we want to represent the database in a diagrammatic format, similar to your flowchart. So if you want to draw a flowchart, you are having some predefined symbols like that. Here, what we need is, so to represent, what is the notation you are, see, you are having various notation. You can use ER diagram or UML diagram. So I think parallelly, some students, you are having an elective subject called as OOAD. So in OOAD, you will be using a language called as UML, Unified Modeling Language. So here, our aim is, okay, so for representing the database in a diagrammatic format, what you can do is, you can use the concept called as ER model. ER model is nothing but what? Entity relationship model. So in a database, first you want to identify the entity, how to represent the entity. Each and every entity is associated with an attribute. So how to represent a relationship between multiple entities. So all those things, okay. So you need to have what? You need to follow some basic rules. So we will discuss about all those rules. So the thing is, so this is a preliminary stage. After completing the ER diagram, so what you have to do is, exactly you need to convert it into the database. So you should have what? So you should have one-to-one mapping between this logical and the physical construct. If you take the second unit, entire second unit is related to SQL. So how to create a, so if you want to create a database, simply what is a database? Simply what you can say is, a database is nothing but a collection of related tables. Okay, so basically what is the requirement is, for storing the data, you need to create a table. So in SQL, we are having various sub-languages and control language. So first, for creating the table, what you can do is, you need to use certain commands. For example, create command, alter command, drop command. So first you need to create a table. For that you can use create command. To modify the structure of the table, you can use the command called as alter command. After creating the table, if you want to remove the table, you can use the command as drop command. So now I have finalized the structure and I have created the table. Next, what is the requirement? I need to populate the table, or I need to start storing the data inside the table. So for that, what is the command you can use? You can use the command called as insert command. After, if you want to store a new data, you can use the command called as insert command. Now suppose already you have stored some data and you want to modify the contents. In that case, you can use the command called as update command. If you want to remove the record from the table, you can use the command called as delete command. So these are the basic operations available in DML. So apart from that, what you can have, what you are having lot of built-in functions. Okay, and you can create a view, you can create a synonym, you can create an index, you can create a trigger. After creating a table, you can associate a trigger with the particular table. So we will discuss about all those things in the second unit. And finally, the last topic is related to the course what you have studied in the last semester. Okay, so you need to what? So the idea is JDBC, Java Database Connectivity. So your data will be stored in a database, for example, Oracle database. So that is going to be usually whenever we use the term database, it is referred as the backend. You need to retrieve the data from the database and you want to display the data to the user, similar to what you have studied as part of swings. So now the thing is, you need to retrieve the data from the database and you want to display it to the user. So the thing is, you want to establish a connection between two different products or products from two different vendors. So initially, now currently your Java is acquired by your Oracle. Content is going data, how to access the data from language. So what you can have is, so the thing is, so if you, the idea of JDBC is you can have use your high-level programming language to interact with the database. So if you want to make a high-level programming language, so we will discuss about first normal form, second normal form, third normal form. BCNF is nothing but Boy's Code normal form. So in your syllabus, they have they have included up to 5 normal forms. So fourth normal form and the fifth normal form. Okay. So the second half deals with the transaction processing concepts. So already I think as part of your Java programming in multi-threading, you might have studied about synchronization and all. Okay. So this is some extension to that. Okay. So if you want to execute multiple transactions, or you are allowing multiple users to access the database at the same time, what is the requirement is you need some synchronization. If you are not going to have any synchronization, it may lead to some inconsistency. So for ensuring concurrency, what we are going to do is we are going to use some concurrency control techniques. So broadly, you can classify the concurrency control techniques as the pessimistic concurrency control and the optimistic concurrency control. So what is the limitation in pessimistic concurrency control? So for certain scenarios, you cannot go for pessimistic concurrency control. In the case of pessimistic concurrency control, you need some additional information about each and every transaction. So always it is not possible for you people to get the additional, before starting the transaction itself, you need some additional information about that transaction. So in certain cases, it is not possible to get the entire data related to the transaction. So in that case, what we will do is we will go for optimistic concurrency control algorithm. So another option for achieving concurrency is based on timestamp ordering mechanism. This is another technique for implementing concurrency control. So first 3 units is related to what? First 3 units is related to your relational database. So in the 4th unit, the entire 4th unit is related to your non-relational database. And again, in non-relational database, our main focus is with respect to MongoDB. So the basic difference is, okay, so whenever we use the relational database, the data is stored in a tabular format or data is stored in a table. So whereas with respect to MongoDB or in the case of a non-relational database, So you are specifically with respect to MongoDB, the data is stored in the form of a document. So you are having multiple options. Okay, in certain non-relational database, it will be stored in the form of a key value file. So you are having CouchDB, MongoDB, like that. You are having variety of databases that comes under the category called as non-relational database. Now, first what we will do is we will try to install the MongoDB. What are the steps you have to follow for installing the MongoDB? After completing the installation process, you need to create documents. So what are the steps you need to perform? So first you need, if you compare this content with the second unit, so you have created a table, you have inserted record, you have updated the table like that here. So you need to use appropriate syntax for creating a document, updating the document, deleting the documents. And with respect to non-relational database, how to create a query and how to execute a query. So that is the last part. So we will have a detailed discussion with respect to the find query. So what are the various versions you can use with respect to your find query. So this is the overall view about the 4 units. What are the topics we are going to cover as part of these 4 units? So the prescribed textbook for this course is fundamentals of database system. Okay. So author name is Elmasri and Nawade. Publisher name is Addison Wesley, 7th edition. Okay. So the syllabus is based on this specific edition. Year of publication is 2016. So for the first 3 units, you can refer this particular textbook. For the 4th unit alone, we are having a separate textbook. Okay. So name of the book is MongoDB: The Definitive Guide. So author name is Christina and Michael. Publication is Orale Publication, 2nd edition. Year of publication is 2012. Okay. So I think I have not uploaded the ebook in your classroom, but I have uploaded the first textbook. So fundamentals of database system by Elmasri and Nawade is available in your GCR. You can check. So what about the reference books? Suppose if you want to explore further, you can refer these 3 textbooks. Okay. So you are having plenty of books, plenty of textbooks available for database management system. And this is one standard textbook. So in most of the universities, this textbook is used for your UG as well as the PG courses. Okay, Abraham Silver Charts, Sudarshan and the Court. So title of book name is Database System. Publisher name is McGraw-Hill, 6th edition, 2010. In addition to that, you can refer these 2 textbooks, SK Singh and the book by Database System by SK Singh and the Database Management System by Raghu Ramakrishnan. Okay. But most of the presentation will be based on the first textbook, that is Elmasri and Nawade. Now with respect to this assignment for this course, as of now the plan is to have 3 assignments. So the first topic is first assignment will be based on your ER diagram, second assignment will be based on the SQL, and third assignment will be based on the normalization. So if time permits, I will try to add one more assignment based on MongoDB. Okay. So first assignment is from the first unit. Okay. So if you check with the syllabus, so ER diagram comes under the first unit, SQL is with respect to the second unit, normalization with respect to the third unit. So I will give you a detailed problem scenario. So for that problem scenario, you need to draw the ER diagram. And for the problem statement, you need to normalize the table so that you will not have any redundancy or you will not have any inconsistency. So with respect to this SQL, what you can do is you can install Oracle 10G Express Edition. So mostly the assignment 1 and assignment 3 will be what you need to use pen and paper. So second assignment is mostly programming assignment. So I will give you the problem statement. You need to create the table. I will give you the structure of the table, what is the input, and I will give you some set of questions. You need to generate the answer for those questions. That is with respect to your second assignment. Okay. So with respect to your CAA, so as of now the plan is to conduct 6 MCQs, and from the 6 MCQs, so best 4 will be taken for the weightage for your MCQ is 20 marks. So as of now, if we go with the last semester pattern, your internal weightage is going to be 25 marks. So 20 marks based on your MCQ and 5 marks based on the assignment. So you will be having 3 assignments. I will take the average of these 3 assignments for your assignment marks. And you can check the class timings with your timetable. So Monday 2nd hour, Tuesday 7th hour, and Thursday 7th hour. So if there is any discrepancy, okay, you can inform me. I will check once again. Okay. So after the lecture period, if you are having any doubt or if you want to communicate with me, you can use this mail ID manikandan@it-shastra.edu. Suppose if you are coming to campus and if you want to meet me, you can meet me in my staff room. My staff room is in TIFA4 TC 1. So as usual thing. So most of the presentation, I have adapted the presentation from the authors Elmasri, Nawade and Sudarshan. Okay, so I think 7th edition is based on Elmasri and Nawade. Previous edition, 4th edition and 5th edition, you had another author called as Sudarshan, and most of the images I have taken from web. So I have adapted the basic slides, and wherever possible I have incorporated some additional contents from other sources. Okay, so what is the prerequisite for this course is you should have some basic idea about the file system and some basic knowledge related to transaction. This is not going to be a stringent requirement. So if you have some knowledge, so it will be helpful. So basic idea related, so that you can understand the you can understand the advantages of DVMS. Okay. So file system and the transactions. So we will start with the regular topic. So first question, okay, how will you define data? Or what is data? What is your answer? One of you can unmute your mic and you can tell. Balakumar, yes.
Yes, sir.
What is your opinion? How will you define data?
Data is something, information stored in.
Data is an information
stored.
Okay. So how the data is stored in your secondary storage device? Do you have any idea about the data hierarchy and all? Arjun J.
Yes, sir.
How the data is stored in a secondary storage device?
Sir, it is stored in the form of binary, sir.
Okay, that is in the lowermost level.
Yes, sir.
Okay. From the user perception?
Sir, we write in a high level language. For example, if I'm going to write a Word document, I write in English, sir. But
No.
it is...
What I'm saying is, see, whenever we use the term database, we say that data is stored in the form of a table. Okay, wow.
Yes, sir.
So in the if you take a file system, your data is stored in the form of how will you define a file?
It will have a sequence of information stored.
No. Simple definition for file. File is a
Collection of data.
collection of data or collection of records?
Collection of records, sir.
Okay. Okay. So this is one definition available in the networking. So you can visualize the data as a representation of information that is more suitable for communication, interpretation, and processing. So the thing is, if you visualize the data in a hierarchical format, so what is the data hierarchy? So how it is stored? So in the lowermost level, see here, in the lowermost level, as mentioned by Arjun, the data will be stored in the form of what? The zeros and ones. So it will be a binary data. So next level, you will be having bytes, so fields, records. So if you visualize the data from in the form of files, your data is nothing but a collection of records. So if you take a record, your record is nothing but a what? A collection of fields. So next level, okay. Yes. We are saying that the data is stored in the form of tables, that is logical. So physically your data will be stored in your secondary storage device. Your data will not be stored in the form of table. So physically or practically it will be stored in the form of what? In the form of files. In the form of what? Rather than saying as files, simply it will be stored in the form of what? It will be stored in the form of records. Okay, so this is with respect to your data hierarchy. So now, so what is the need for a database? So or prior to database. So what is the concept used for storing the data prior to database before 1980s or 1975s? So data is stored in the files. So if you are going to store the data in a file, you are having some limitation. So what is the limitation? So this is the diagrammatic representation for a file system. So for example, this snapshot is related to a university file system. Now see here, suppose you assume that in a university you are having three different locations. So one is library, another one is examination, and another one is registrar office. So if you visualize this problem or if you visualize this scenario in the form of a file system, in three different locations, I am going to have three different programs. Or I am having three different files in three different locations. Okay, so the thing is what? The information is related to the same student. So the student name is going to be the same, register number is going to be the same, branch is going to be the same, section is going to be the same, but the same information is replicated in more than one location. So in a library, separately they maintain the data about the student. In the examination department, they maintain the data about the same student. In the registrar office also, they maintain the information about the same student. So now, if this is going to be the scenario, then you may ask a question, sir, what is the drawback? They are maintaining the data in three different locations, that's all. So one major limitation is storage space is wasted. So immediately you may argue, sir, I am having sophisticated storage mechanism. I am least bothered about the storage space and all. So I am very much interested in using file system. So the problem is, so apart from storage space, what is the thing is, you need to perform, okay, so it may lead to what? The same operation need to be performed multiple times. See, whenever a new student, with respect to this scenario, whenever a new student enters into the university, you need to perform the add operation in three different locations. Whenever a student leaves the university, you need to perform the delete operation in three different locations. Suppose you assume a situation such that, so suppose the information about the student is removed from the registrar office, but it is not removed from your examination department. Then if you count the total number of students, you may have what? You may have inconsistency. In one location, it may be 500, and in another location, it may be 510, in another location, it may be 498. So it leads to what? It leads to various inconsistency. That is the major drawback with respect to your file processing system. So to avoid that, what we need is the data is what? So now what is my need? So in all the three locations, I am storing the same data. So now what I need is, I need to group all these data and I need to store it in a single location, or I want to store it in a single centralized location. So that is the idea behind your database system. Okay. So if you take for the same scenario, okay, so for the same scenario, instead of file processing, for the same university scenario, if you are going to use a database, you can have a diagrammatic representation like this. See here, the information about the student is stored in a single location. But I think this diagram is from a different, this diagram is for different scenario. For example, this is for a company related scenario. So if you compare this with the examination related scenario, what we have used in the previous slide. So the data is stored only in a single location. So people from different department, for example, examination department, registration department, library department, what they can do is they can access the data from the same source. So there is no need for what? There is no need to perform the same operation multiple times. Okay. So for accessing the data from the database, you can use what? You can make use of appropriate database management system. Okay. So that is the major difference. See, anyway, in the next class, we will have a what? We will have a detailed discussion about the limitation of the file system and advantages of your database system. So basically here I have summarized the details. Okay. So what is the need for a database? Why we are going for a database? Okay. So basically, how will you define a database? Your database is nothing but a what? A collection of related data stored in some organized manner. So as of now, our discussion is with respect to the structured data or with respect to the relational data. So if you are going, see, for example, if you take your register number for all the students, your register number is going to be 9 digits. So that form of data is called as what? We are going to have some predefined structure. So it is nothing but a what? Your database is nothing but a collection of related records, or sorry, collection of related tables. So the data is inside the table, the data is stored in an organized manner. So you can have a manual database as well as you can have a computerized database. So manual database means, again, if you take the library management system, if they are going to maintain the information about all the books in the form of a ledger, it's called as the manual database. If the same thing is stored in a computer, and if you are going to use use some language or some interface to access the data, then it comes under the category called as what? Then it comes under the category called as the computerized database. So which one is efficient, manual database or computerized database? Obviously, your computerized database provides various flexibility to the users. Easy to access, easy to update, easy to locate. So all those options you have with respect to your computerized database. So this is a one example for a customer database. So what are the information stored? So the name of the table is what? The name of the table is customer. What are the information you have stored as part of this customer table? For each and every customer. So how to identify each and every customer uniquely? For that, I am using the field called as ID. For each and every customer, I have stored the information about the what? Name of the customer, age, address, and the salary. So this is a diagrammatic representation for a table. So this representation is related to a single table. Like that, you will be having collection of tables, and those collection of tables is called as a database. So don't get confused. Your database is different from a database management system, DB versus DBMS. So how will you define a database management system? So your database management system is nothing but a what? It is a software, or you are going to have a collection of programs. So basically, if you want to build a database, so and after constructing a database, you want to maintain the database. So for that, you can make use of what? You can make use of various database management systems. So each and every database management system is having its what? Own advantages and the limitation. So in some cases, it allows multiple users. In some cases, it allows only what, a single user. So each and every database management system makes use of a programming language. So in some database management system, you are having what, you can have a GUI based interface. In some database management system, you are going to have only command based interaction, similar to your DOS and Windows. Okay, so you can interact with the database only from the command prompt. So these are the various options that are available with your database management system. So how will you differentiate a database management system from a relational database management system? So if you take a database management system, so what is the difference is, in the case of relational database management system, the data is stored in the tabular form, or it is stored in the form, or it is stored in a table. So now immediately you may ask, then if it is stored in the form of a table in relational database, how it is stored in a database management? Okay, so in the case of normal database, okay, so in the normal database also you will be storing the data in the form of a table. But the difference is, in the case of your relational database management system, you will be having a relation. That is, or in other words, what I can say is, in the case of database management system, you can have multiple tables, but you won't have any relationship between these tables. Or instead of the data, how the data will be stored? Data will be organized, or data will be stored either in a hierarchical format or in a navigational format. Navigational means a record format. It will not be stored in the form of water. It will not be stored in the form of a table. And another thing is, so mostly in the case of database management system, you will be having what, one parent and one child. Okay, so you are not going to have what, you are not going to have a tree-like structure. That is a difference. That is the limitation with respect to your database management system. In the case of your relational database management system, for identifying each and every record, we are going to use the concept called as key. You will be having a key associated with each and every table. So to identify each and every record, we are going to use a key, and we are going to call that particular key as a what, a primary key. So your data will be stored in the form of table, and you will be having what, physical and logical independence. So what do you mean by physical and logical independence? If you move the data from one location to another location, there is no need to modify the program. If I modify the program, there is no need to modify the structure. That is the idea behind what? Physical and logical independence. If you modify the logic, there is no need to reorganize the data. If you reorganize the data, there is no need to modify the logic. Okay. So that is the idea behind your physical data independence and logical data independence. So your relational database management system provides support for your physical data independence and your logical data independence. Okay. So this is a brief summary. Okay. So anyway, I will share this. Anyway, we will have a detailed discussion in the next forthcoming classes. Okay. So what is the difference between a relational database and non-relational database? So now, can you give me an example for unstructured data? Where will you have unstructured data? Can you give me an example for unstructured data? Rakesh, can you give me an example for unstructured data? Where?
Storing different persons' records.
See, what I told, if you store the data in a tablet format, it is a structured data. So now if I'm going to, so now what I'm saying is, if I'm going to have some unstructured data, or the information is what? Information is not of predefined size. So now can you give me an example for an unstructured data? Deepika?
Yes, sir.
Can you give me an example for unstructured data?
Storing videos, audios, and images by
Video may be video may also be of structured data only, no? Only the size may differ. Okay. With respect to text, can you give me an example? Apart from video and audio. Email data. In what context email data? News. Websites in intranet. Okay. See, suppose you imagine a situation like this. Most of the e-commerce websites, okay, Amazon or Flipkart, they are getting feedback from the customer related to the product. So do you have any restriction saying that you should type only 5 lines or you should use only 20 words? So the feedback given by one customer may be of what? Maybe of 10 lines or 20 lines. Whereas the feedback given by the other customer may be 2 words or 3 words. And most of you might have used Twitter. Okay. So the thing is, if I want to create a database to store the by the customer with respect to your online shop, is it possible to create a table? See, want to create a table. What is the primary requirement? I need to fix the size. If it's register number, size is 9. If it is mark, size is 3. If it is gender, size is 1. If it is name, size is 30 or size is 40. Like that, I need to fix the size. With respect to feedback, is it possible to fix the? If I fix the size as some 1000 words or 2000 words, and if the customer is going to use 2 words or 3 words, in that case, again you will be having what? Again you will be having wastage space. So your relational data model is suitable for all applications. So nowadays they moved from what? For example, if your data is used by your IRCTC, it comes under the category called as what? Relational. Whether my voice is audible?
yes, sir.
Okay. So sorry, tomorrow I will change my place. Okay, I am taking class from the university itself, but I am having some network issues. Okay. So quickly I will finish today's lecture. Okay. So the difference is, for certain application, it is not possible to store the data in a tabular format. So in that case, what we need to do is, we will be storing the data in some other format. For example, in the form of a document. So if you take CouchDB, the data will be stored in the form of a document, JSON document, JavaScript object notation, JSON document. So this document model comes under the category called what? Non-relational database. So these are some examples for your relational database. So DB2, MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, SQLite, SQL Server, Service, all these things are example for what? Example for your relational database. And some examples for your non-relational database. Give up. So see here I have mentioned, see, D stands for document, C stands for column, G stands for graph. So if you take Neo4j, the data is stored in the form of a graph. Whereas in the case of Aerospike, data is stored in the form of KV. KV means key value pair. So what are the various options you have with respect to non-relational database? You can organize the data in the form of a document, in the form of a column, in the form of a graph, or in the form of a key value pair. Whereas data simple thing, always you need to store the data in the form of a tree. Okay. So do you have any guess? Can you tell me the largest database? Name of the largest database in the world. One answer is by Vishnu, Oracle. Any other answer? So actually, the largest database is the database maintained by the World Data Center for Climate in Germany. So your Google database maintained by Google comes under the 4th category. That is 4th largest database. YouTube database 7th, and Amazon database is only 8th. Okay. Okay. When to use this already I have mentioned. Okay. So if you are having some data, if you don't want to share the data, if the data is going to be used only by that person, or if you are going to have a single user for the data, then in that case there is no need to create a database. So blindly, since we are studying about database, don't say that your database is going to be suitable for all applications. So if for certain applications, your database is also not appropriate, or it is not suitable for certain applications. Now this is the review question. So what is the difference between a spreadsheet and database? Whether both are same or different? So give me the answer for this question on next. So if you are having any question, you can ask.